Good evening and welcome to season 2, episode 12 of the Pack Homer podcast. Sorry we've been gone for so long. Life has kind of happened for us here in the last couple of weeks, and we hadn't podcasted lately, but glad to be back with you. I'm with my buddies Adam and Wes. Since we last got together, the Wolfpack won 1 out of 3 in Durham versus Duke, and then had a huge series win over Virginia this past weekend, where our guy Josh Hogue hit a walk-off bomb in dramatic fashion to win that series 2-1. Also got 2 midweek victories with a midweek win over UNC Greensboro last week, and then last night put a whooping on the Pirates in Greenville, which was nice after dropping 2 to those guys last year. We'll talk a little bit about that, and then we're going to talk about Louisville. Probably going to be a little shorter episode than normal, but we hadn't talked to you guys in a while, so we felt like we needed to, as Adam said before we come on, give the people what they want. So we just want you to know we're still here. Adam's been sharing all the statistics about how these podcasts die. We just want to let you know we're still around. And
contrary to popular belief, we didn't quit after the Duke series.
We didn't quit. I was thinking before we came on tonight. I was signing up for a Masters pool I do every year, and the Masters slogan, a tradition unlike any other. I feel like Wolfpack baseball, it's kind of become a tradition unlike any other too, where we look really good and for a minute, and then we look really bad, really bad. I think in the last 2 weeks, our text message thread between the three of us has been I don't even want to say some of the stuff Wesley said. Y'all know Wesley, he gets down, man. That guy gets down bad sometimes. But, I think all of us have probably at least texted one time, we suck. Maybe we just suck. We aren't that good. And then, we've probably texted, we're back. Or I like to say, we back. We're back. So I was listening to the ACC podcast today on the D1 Baseball ACC podcast today, and they said maybe that Hogue's walk-off home run versus Virginia to win that series kind of reminds them of the Serrano home run last year against Duke. That kind of jump-started us. Yeah, it kind of jump-started us when we were kind of down last year, mid-season. So anyway, instead of talking about the series in depth and hashing all that out, because that's kind of old news now, let's just talk a little bit, fellas, about some of the changes we've made in the lineup lately, some of the things we're trying, things you like, don't like. I think there's several things that we can talk about, concerns, things that you're still worried about. So I'll start with you, Adam. In the last 2 weeks, we've shook things up a little bit. What are we doing here, recency bias in the last 10 days that you like?
Well, it's kind of unfair that you called on me because you mentioned life's been in the way, and I have not gotten to watch a lot of the games the last couple of weeks. I've just been following, on kind of the stat tracker. I did catch the Sunday Virginia game. I watched one of the Duke games, and I got to catch most of the game last night after softball. But I like Ty Head leading off. I like that move. The other thing we kind of said after the games this past weekend was Drew Lamphere. He's feel like we just got to find a way to get him in the lineup more regularly. He I think he was 0 for last night. I can't remember his final stat line last night, but the guy. I think that was his first homer of the year, the grand slam, but had some other clutch hits too, and just feel like it's. I don't know if Sosa just needs more. We talked at one point about potentially moving him down the lineup, just trying to help him build his confidence back up. Guys just it's just clearly something's awry. We totally know what he's capable of. We remember the run from last year. I think even you said, Cal, we don't go to Omaha in 2024 without Alex Sosa, and I just feel like Lamphere getting more more starts potentially at catcher. Maybe 1 to 2 a week. Getting in the lineup more regularly as well. Whether be at a DH spot, assuming. But yeah, I mean, I think you know. I think they've done a good job of the lineup. I think I like where Luke's at. Hoag's been huge. You mentioned Hoag. Our middle of the lineup has really seemingly turned into you know, what we kind of think about being a packed middle of the lineup. A real tough sledding to get through those guys now, and I like where we're at.
Yeah, I read about some. I don't know, like I don't know whether it was Twitter or message boards or whatever. Um, I think there's some folks out there that have like questioned us even playing Lanphier as much as we have, and I don't really get that sentiment. I mean, the guy, I think he struck out 10 times now in the year and walked 16 times. I mean, you kind of got to look at like metrics sometime. He's had some bad breaks. I mean, he's only hitting 269 on balls in play, which is really hard to do. And I was just looking at that stat a minute ago of him hitting 269 on balls in play. Matt Hebner, who I felt like all year too has hit a lot of balls hard and hadn't got anything to show for it, is only hitting 222 on balls in play, which is, I mean,
Yeah,
that is hard to
he,
do.
he's flat out a lot.
Yeah. So, but I think that Lanphier the other day, what you say he's flown out a lot too, but Hebner actually has the third highest line drive percentage of anybody on the team. So I mean,
Wow.
he's hitting a lot of balls on the nose. I think a lot of those balls, you even see going to left. He tends to line out to the left fielder a lot, so it feels like
He does, yeah.
a F7. But
He does.
he's hit a lot of balls hard and got nothing to show for it. But anyway, talking about Lanphier the other day against Virginia, we were dead in the water. We were down 8-2. He hits the grand slam. Then he comes up in the ninth, 2 outs, nobody on. He gets a knock there. Then I believe that was followed by a tie head walk to extend the inning, and then Hoag on a 3-1 pitch hits one out to left field. So yeah, I want to see Lanphier. I just think if you keep him in the lineup, I just remember what AMAC and Butter said about him in the preseason, and just how much respect they had for him. And Coach Avent talking about usually guys like that, there's something to it. I'll tell you, like my son, when he's 13 and he likes to use all these words. I don't really know what he means, but he was talking about glazing earlier today. I think, which is, I guess, like when you're just like talk. Baseball players don't like to glaze other baseball players. So for guys that are talented guys to say, man, Drew Lanphier's a dude, I think he's probably a dude. So like, he's only got 62 at bats right now. I'm with you on that, Adam. I'd like to see him to continue to get some at bats. Also,
The other thing those guys spoke about was just his work ethic.
Yep.
So there's guys we had on. Guys from last year's team spoke real highly of his work ethic, and you gotta hopefully that pays off for him, right?
Yep. I would echo too what you said. I like Ty Head moving to the top of the lineup. I was probably kind of resistant to that early in the year because he walks a lot. But I'm like, man, the ACC pitching, they're just not going to walk him that much. Like we're playing bad teams, and he's pretty picky at the plate. But I mean, he hasn't slowed down, and he just finds ways on base. And then now he actually in ACC play, he leads the team. He's hitting 324 in ACC play, which is better than anyone else on the team. And he has 12 walks in ACC games.
Tied for tops in ACC in walks total.
So
with 37.
He has a 510 on base percentage in ACC play. So that's been a good move. The other thing I like that we've done before I go to you, Wesley, is I feel like Coach Avent's done a really good job of and Coach Chrysler of how we're going to use Andrew Schaffner. I've seen some criticism of that too, but like Schaffner has really kind of solidified a bullpen that's trying to find its way. I think we all think our bullpen is still pretty good. I think that we got Duden is getting better every week too. By the way, Duden's ERA in ACC play is 2.08, but Schaffner's ERA is 1.04 in ACC play. He's given up 1 run in 8 2/3. We've used him in some long spots. We've used him to get some key outs. I know got a lot of criticism because I think we threw him 3 times in that Pitt series. But Schaffner, how we've used him has helped us to kind of right the ship when our bullpen is not really where we expect it to get to. So that's one of the things I'm excited about. How about you, Wes?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody likes Head at the leadoff spot. I think like you guys, I kind of expected his numbers to decrease when we started getting into ACC play, and they've actually improved. And I can't really remember any at bats this year where Head looked lost. I think we have some other players that at times struggle and kind of look lost in the at bats, and it seems like every at bat Head's competitive at bat. So I think it's pretty special for a freshman to and obviously how confident he is, not just at the plate, but also in the field. So, again, where we thought maybe, all along, I thought maybe that was going to be Luke's role. And it still could be. I mean, Luke has some really,
Yeah,
really good at bats.
absolutely.
Um, I think we have three, uh, guys in Decrecio and Luke and Head that can man that position, and you feel good about all three. But of course, over the last few weeks, Decrecio's kind of solidified himself as one of our power guys. He's really hitting the ball well. So I think Head at the leadoff, you like that, and then where Decrecio's sitting now, it kind of makes us as you guys said, a little more dangerous to opponents when they're looking down that lineup.
Yeah, I think that uh, when we talk about things that we like, one of the things that's been very welcoming is that we finally started to hit some home runs. I mean, the last couple of weeks we've hit a lot of balls out of the ballpark. I don't know the exact number that we've hit out, but I remember thinking we might not have anybody hit double digits there for a while, and now Hug is up to 7.
Now we might have 5 guys that hit
Yeah,
double digits.
Hoag's up to
I was, I
7.
was make,
McHugh's at 6. Decrecio's at 6. Braden Fraseman's at 6. Sosa's still at 5. So you got, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 6 guys over halfway to 10. So, and Braden Fraseman's hit the ball really good lately too. Hit a lot of balls
he has.
on the nose. But yeah, so to finally start hitting some home runs, which is, we always tend to hit, to see that's been another a
Yeah, we
promising.
could be we could be sitting here this time next week, and Sosa has double digits already. I mean, that's
I
how
know.
fast. You feel like he could really turn it on. So
So how about well, let's talk a couple more things too while we're discussing things that have changed in the lineup. Ryan Jarris has kind of shouldered his way in a little bit to some more at bats. Hit a couple of home runs. Did he hit both the home runs at Duke? I feel like it was, but anyway, hit a big home run against Duke to win Game 2 of that series. Kind of gave us some breathing room there before he blew it open. Trent Lyons is beginning to get a few more at bats, especially in the midweek. I think they've been trying to nurse him along all along. How about Tristan Potts, the lefty?
yeah,
I was like, where the hell did he come
yeah,
from? I mean, I knew he was on the team, but like, where we been hiding him at? Like, has he been hurt? I really don't know. But he's come on, had some meaningful outings. So yeah, and then Anderson Nance, his how we have used him is also, we talked about Schaffner earlier. Anderson Nance same way. I think there's a lot of worry too. You like listen to like Wolfpack Nation, and they're worried about how we're using him. I that's for Coach Kreitzer and Coach Avent to figure out. But he seems to be able to come in and just give you 4 or 5 innings about every time he goes out there, and he just pounds the zone. I mean, God, man, I don't know how much of that game y'all watched last night. Um, I watched most of it.
I watched most all of it. Yeah,
And Cliff at ECU, those guys are up there like they're like the dude hit a damn ball 400 feet, and the next pitch he fake bunted. Did y'all see that? So like they do all kinds of crazy stuff, man, in the box. They're like fake bunting, taking till they get a strike. And like when Nance was in there and the jungle was getting a little rowdy, and like you could tell they were taking till they get a strike. And I was sitting there thinking to myself, like, Anderson Nance is not the guy you want to take until you get a strike. Because I mean he just pounds his own. He's like, come and get it. And I mean they were just going 0-1 like every count, it felt like. He struck out the side, I think, in the 7th. So I don't know how Wesley said before we came on, we got to be careful. Like, we need him on the weekend. He's that good. And he
yeah.
threw like 80 pitches last night. So I don't know what that means for this weekend series with Louisville, but we'll be interested to see how that plays out. Concerns. I'll start with you first, Wesley. I think we already dug into some, but I'll let you run. I know we've mentioned Sosa, but what are you worried about? We're 7-5 in the ACC right now. we're 3-1 in ACC series. What are some areas that you still don't feel warm and fuzzy about necessarily, Wes?
Well, I mean, I think you talked earlier. I mean, consistency. I mean, consistency is the concern. We look at times we look like we're one of the best teams in the ACC, and at times we look like we're one of the worst. I don't really think that this team is going to get where they want to go without Sosa, starting to put some things together. I mean, he's too talented not to send him out there. I don't think he traveled to Greenville last night, which I guess is a little concerning. I think I heard he had a fever. Did you guys hear that from Avent's interview?
I didn't
I did
catch
not
that,
hear
but
that.
at least good to have a reason, especially hell in
Yeah,
today's day and
Yeah.
age. They might be in like
yeah,
the
and I mean,
Tennessee
and
games.
hell, maybe I dreamed that, but I'm pretty sure I heard Avent say that Sosa didn't travel to Greenville, maybe a little under the weather. So, but anyway, he's too talented not to put him out there. And I mean, at some point, you feel like he's gonna put it together. And but I think just consistency for me. And then again last night when Anderson Nance got to 50 pitches, I'm like, okay, this is probably a good time to pull him
Yeah.
because we're gonna need him
Yeah.
this weekend. And again, that goes to show the how important the NC State ECU game is to probably both teams. ECU's second pitcher, he might have went a little longer than they wanted him to go. He threw the ball really well. So I mean, both teams really want to win that game. It means a lot to both sides, players and coaches. So again, for me, I think just consistency, and then just to somehow, some way get Sosa going again.
Adam?
Yeah. I'd say, I mentioned earlier when we talked about the lineup that I like where we are. I kind of misspoke a little bit. I was kind of like, I like the changes that we made. I'm certainly optimistic. I mean, baseball is a game of momentum, and getting hot at the right time. I really hope that win, that comeback win against Virginia will really, kind of help be a be a be a spark or a turning point for the season. We'll say. And again, talking about 7-5, I don't think 7-5 in ACC play. You tell me we're 3-1 in the series. I would probably sign up for that. Preseason, not knowing a lot of these pieces. Right, we felt really good. We obviously all felt really good about the pitching staff. Think that has proven to be true. Certainly from the starter standpoint. And obviously we had concerns about our ability to hit the ball. We an unproven lineup to us, to a fan. So I think to say 7-5, I don't know that that's necessarily kind of off track, you know, of where we kind of should be for the season. Yeah, we can look back and see a couple of those games that we felt like we should have won or swept a couple of those early the two early series, but I would take where we are. I think, but on the same time, as crazy as it sounds, losing that game Sunday, had we lost that game Sunday, I mean, obviously that's when we came back and really, really took from them. Being 6-6 and 2-2 would have felt a little more discouraging. So it just shows you like what difference one win can make and one more series win can make. So
One
Yeah,
swing.
because if you lose that game on Sunday and then your next four against ECU at ECU and then three against Louisville, that's a pretty daunting task to go into
it
the
sure
next week.
is.
So you're right. That was a very critical
Yeah.
home run by Hogue.
Yeah. I mean, it was awesome. I mean, and like I said, I just felt like it at the time. I was like, I mean, that was my first thought. I was like, man, this might be the kind of break we needed, to kind of get everybody's confidence built back up and get the get the lineup charged up. So, yeah. I mean, my concern though is, I mean, the question you proposed, Cal, was about our concerns, and so my concern is that we fall back into the 4-hit 2-run
Yeah.
performances, against high quality ACC pitching that we're going to face here on out. Quite honestly, I think we got to continue to give our pitching staff something to some leads to work with. I mean,
Yeah, I think I can. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say that's just my concern is falling back into where kind of we thought we were, after really after the not picking up the sweep and then the Duke series to some extent, other than the one game, the Saturday game.
Yeah, like I'll piggyback on that, like, about not giving our pitching staff, because I would say our bullpen has actually made our starting pitchers' numbers worse. So, and what I mean when I say that is like if you look at Dom and Ryan Marone especially, they've both gone longer than they normally would have. In several games the last couple of weeks, where you're like the Duke game, Dom he stays out there for that extra inning and they touch him up. Marone the same way has gone later in games and got touched up because we aren't super confident in the depth of the bullpen. So we're like trying to get through six where, if you talk about, the Duden Smith combo from last year or the Villeman Justice combo, like it was really, if you just get five, the ball game is over. And
and Van Dam last year.
Yeah, Van Dam. And I think our bullpen is close to being us having more confidence in it on the weekends. I still don't know what's going on completely with Derek Smith. I just hope we can get him back to as close to 100% as possible. Just because he'd be another much needed piece. I said earlier I thought that Duden was close to turning the corner. I think Duden has turned the corner. I feel really good about him. His last few outings.
Dude looks. I mean, he's making some good hitters look pretty silly up there.
He's made some significant strides. So, like, no worries about where we're at with Jacob Duden right now. 21 strikeouts in 14 innings. I mean, he's getting his numbers. You said before he came on, really close to where they were last year. But he's picking up the pace earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got the same ERA he had at this stage last year, and he's got a higher K rate. I mean, and a slightly higher walk rate, but recent bias, he's looked good and getting ahead of hitters, not getting behind early, which was really hurting him early on.
So my other concerns would be, of course, Sosa. Not that I'm worried about his ability. I'm worried about when the switch is going to hit. Because to Wesley's point, for us to be as good as we want to be, we need him. We need postseason. We need 2024 postseason Sosa back. We know it's in there. So and getting him healthy. I mean, he got banged up bad in that Duke game, and they beat the heck out of him there late. And then also Cooper Consiglio. He just hasn't been the Cooper Consiglio that we got last year. He's another guy that it's in there, just waiting for him to kind of turn the corner. So those two guys, and then just trying to figure out the lineup every day. We talked about before the season that we got a lot of different pieces, and we gotta figure it out. And I don't think we got it completely ironed out where exactly what it's going to look like every day, but. I don't think we're going to be a team that plays only 9 guys. I think, or even 10. I think we're going to probably play 12 guys pretty consistently from here on out. One more thing that is just, I don't know. It's just I would like to see a little bit more. I would like to see Chris McHugh hit more balls in the air. I think that is something that our offense is missing. If I told you guys that Chris McHugh, who is leading our team, I think he's hitting 350 now. That sounds right. He's hitting 350. Chris McHugh is hitting 350. He has hit 48.5% of his balls on the ground. 48% ground ball rate.
Wow.
And he's hit 6 home runs. I'm like, dude, when he grounds out, he hits big league ground outs all the time. He hits it 100 mile an hour on a one hop, but it's
he had a good one. I think it was McHugh last night that hit the one in the between short and third when the infield was in.
Yeah.
He ripped one. Yeah.
So need to see him hit a few more balls in the air. Ryan Marone, I got a stat on him. I know a lot of folks have been concerned about him. Ryan Marone has had some very bad luck. I think Alex G might have mentioned this on Inside Pack Sports or something. But they're hitting 387 against him on balls in play, which is just not sustainable, especially when you have a 50% ground ball rate as a pitcher like Marone has and you don't walk guys. So I think his numbers are inflated negatively. He's had some tough luck. When we talked about all the balls that Matt Hebner hits hard, and he's hitting 222 on balls in play and hitting or 230 or whatever it is, whatever that number is, low 200s, and then Marone's got guys hitting 387 against him on balls in play, and 50% of the balls that are put in play are hit on the ground. So he's had a little bit of tough luck. Obviously, we need to get that turned around, and going in the right direction. But this weekend's as good a time as any. I still really urge.
Yeah, for sure. Me too.
All right, let's get the ACC standings real quick and talk about Louisville and get out of here. All right, so right now in the ACC play, Clemson is in first at 9-3. Georgia Tech is 11-4. Florida State 8-4. Louisville, who comes to Raleigh this weekend, 8-4. Wake Forest 9-6. Virginia Tech 9-6. NC State 7-5. UNC and Duke tied at 8-7, and then you got Virginia, preseason number 2 in the country at 7-8. Cal at 6-9. Stanford at 5-10. Pitt at 4-8. Miami at 4-8. Boston College at 5-10, and Notre Dame at 3-12. So I mean, it's a gauntlet, and Notre Dame tends to beat people they're not supposed to. They picked up a win in their Florida State series.
Yeah, it just blows my mind how Miami's been the last few years. It just really doesn't make any sense.
Especially with the NIL funds that they got, it really is shocking, isn't it?
Yes.
So we're gonna, Miami. They're probably gonna get a new coach here again soon. I don't think the people down in Coral Gables are very happy. Didn't seem to be when I was there. So Louisville this weekend. Oh, before we talk about Louisville, we need to name a pitcher and hitter of the week, so we don't get away from that. But it's unfortunately going to be the pitcher and hitter of the last couple of weeks. Hitter wise, I think my vote is Josh Hogue, walk-off bomb versus Virginia, and a bomb to start the game versus ECU. I don't even know what the rest of his numbers were, but that's good enough for me. Do we have a consensus?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Two huge homers there for sure.
And then as far as our pitcher for the last couple weeks, anybody want to make a motion?
Mr. Anderson Nance, after his performance in Greenville last night.
Wes?
Yes.
Nance. I'll go with Nance too. Had a big 5 innings at Duke too, so he's had 2 huge appearances.
Yeah.
I'm an Anderson Nance guy right now. I'm a believer. And I think Mr. Nance's ERA is down to 3.37 on the year. Pretty dang good. All right, Anderson Nance, Josh Hogue. All right, Louisville this weekend. Louisville is coming in, I think I said, at 8-4 in ACC play. They are second in the ACC with a 3.26 batting average. They're 10th in ERA at 4.96. Just to compare that to NC State. State is 9th in the ACC, hitting 285. And then pitching-wise, NC State is 7th with a 4.68 ERA. If you look across the board at their numbers, they've hit 39 home runs, so they're not a huge big boppers. They have stolen 75 bases, which is a ACC leading 75 bases. Played pretty good defense. I don't really know a ton about their lineup. I do know that they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 everyday guys that are hitting over 300. They got 6 guys with 98 at bats or more hitting over 300, led by Jake Monroe, who is hitting 393. And then they got Lucas Moore hitting 374, who is 25 of 25 in stolen base attempts. Zion Rose has stolen 14 bags. And then Alex Alisea, that's a name, mouthful, has stolen 17 bags. Louisville is
batting 326 as a team versus our 285.
Yeah, they're batting 326 as a team, and we have one guy hitting over 326. So
yeah,
really good offensive baseball team coming to Raleigh. As far as, you look on the mound, Peter Michael has started 8 games for him with a 3.96 ERA. Patrick Forbes with a 4.24 ERA. And they have thrown a bunch of different dudes. I'm not going to count them all up, but it looks like they've thrown about 20 different guys. So you're probably going to see them run a lot of guys in and out. As far as overpowering stuff, Forbes, I remember Forbes from last year. He's the one that tends to punch out a lot more guys. He's got 69 strikeouts in 40 innings, which is a pretty impressive number in 40 frames. And Louisville, I did catch this stat when I was actually reading a little bit last week. I always talk, I talk all the time about how NC State doesn't strike out a lot. Louisville actually strikes out the least in the ACC. They've struck out 191 times this year in 32 games. NC State has struck out 202 times in 33 games, which is third in the ACC. Virginia is at 196 times in 31 games. Strikeouts per game, Louisville is the least in the ACC, and strikeouts per game, NC State is second in the ACC. Kind of like similar ball clubs. We've hit 45 home runs. They've hit 39. They like to run the bases a little better. I'd say maybe you could argue we pitch it a little better, but they're 8-4 in the ACC right now. Got a big series win over UNC earlier in the season that at home. I watched that series that kind of got Louisville on a lot of people's radar. Luckily, we have Louisville in Raleigh. They're only two. They've only played 5 road games all year. They're 2-3 on the road. They're 21-3.
They lost 2 out of 3 at Blacksburg.
At Blacksburg. And we won 2 out of 3 at home versus Virginia Tech. But they're coming in off a series sweep over Boston College, where they run ruled Boston College 2 out of the 3 games, and then they also won their midweek game this week versus Kentucky 4-3. So I think that's enough. It's enough information for us to make a prediction. Who you guys like this weekend? Who wants to go first?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be a really good series. I mean, they had a rivalry game last night, and I watched a good part of that game. So they're going to have a lot of confidence coming in after beating Kentucky, and it was a really close game. I think it went into 10 innings, and talking about how aggressive they are on the base pass. In the 9th inning, they had a leadoff double, and the dude got picked off at second base.
Whoa!
and then later that inning, in the 9th inning, another guy hit a double, and he was thrown out stealing third base. So I mean, they're super aggressive. So again, it'll be interesting to see who's behind the plate for us, Sosa or Lamphere. Who Coach Amen will have confidence in there. But I mean, I like us 2-1 Saturday Ag Day at Doak Field. So we're definitely going to win Saturday for sure. And I really think Marone, to Cal's point, he's had some, he's due, and all 3 of us are really confident in what he brings to the table, and just waiting for him to, have a really good game. I think it's this weekend.
Adam?
So 2-1.
I'm gonna say 2-1 also. I'm gonna. I feel good. I mean, Dom now is. We're talking about earlier about guys having to go longer than they would normally need to, or they felt like they did, or felt like we had to have them last year with the bullpen that we had. But Dom was one of those guys last year that just quite honestly just seemingly never got us through 5 innings. It seemed like very often. He was 4 something a lot, and I mean he's leading the conference in innings pitched this season. So just really like where Dom's at, and hopefully he can get us a strong start and a lot of innings Friday, and get us off to a good start and win that first one. So I like us 2-1 also.
I also like us 2-1, and one thing I'd say, as far as controlling the running game, we're going to start 2 lefties. That was a sick pick move that Consiglio had last night in Greenville too. Another lefty we got.
It was.
Maybe that helps us a little bit. I think both those guys are pretty good hang and read guys. So, I mean, I know a lot of teams like to go first movement on lefties, but maybe that helps us slow them down a little bit on the base pass. But I think it's going to be good baseball to watch. Both teams that have been pretty creative on how they manufacture their runs. Be interesting to see how the wind plays this weekend. Balls can fly out of Doak, so with it getting a little warmer, kind of be interesting to see if we can if each team can keep the other team's lineup in the ballpark. I think it's gonna be good baseball, and I like the pack 2-1 as well. And if we get if we win 2 out of 3, I mean, it puts us in a really good spot here as we kind of break halfway on the season. So this is our 5th ACC series. Go on the road next week to Cal. Don't play a midweek game. So it'll be interesting to see You know, how the pack comes out of this one. We cross over that halfway threshold. NC State right now 42. I think 40. They might have fallen a little bit. They lose every day. Let me look. We're 46 now in the RPI, but I think if you win this series, you probably move up. Somewhere in the top 35. You win your next two series. Not to put the cart before the horse, you start getting back in the host conversation. So everything NC State wants to do is on the table. This will be a big series for us here in the middle of the year. You can't get swept, but we need to win 2 out of 3, and I'd love to win the first 2 and have a chance for a sweep on Sunday. So I'm picking the Pac 2 games to win that. That's what I think is going to happen. Anything else before we wrap it up, Phyllis?
Good.
Talking about hosts, I saw today. I'll give you all a little trivia question. In D1 baseball teams, college baseball teams, how many of those 307 have never made a regional? 40
have never made a regional.
40 have never made a regional yet.
I've been listening. I listened to 11.7 and D1. I try to support other baseball podcasters out there. We're a small, tight knit fraternity.
Comparable to ours.
Yes. Yeah. I try to listen to guys that are kind of the same scale we are. Yeah. Anyway, they were talking about early in the year. I can't remember whether it was D1 or 11.7, but they were both like really, really pulling for the Hawaii regional, which I think would just be
I've seen that on 11.7. Yeah.
Phenomenal. I think Hawaii has kind of like crashed their chances. They had to win a couple of series. There was like 2 series that they were really looking at. Like if they win those series, Hawaii's 20-8, but they're 63 now in the RPI. They didn't get those series wins that they needed. Can you imagine a regional on the island? I mean,
that would be awesome, wouldn't it?
Theoretically, if their RPI is high enough, I mean, the NCAA couldn't punish them, could they? I mean, you have to give it to them if they're like 44-10 with a number 12 RPI. How do you not let them host? But man, talk about travel expenses.
I saw, what else was it? That spurred another thought about something about 11.7. Crap. I saw it wasn't 11.7, but it was one of the national accounts put out a mid-season, current projection. Again, that doesn't mean anything at this point, but they had us as a 2 seed and then number 11 national seed regional, and that projection was at Vandy. So just not that any of that stuff means anything. That was just the most current projection based on where we're at mid-season.
We'll continue to follow. Maybe by the end of the season.
Yeah, exactly.
Vandy. Yeah. Maybe by the end of the season, Vandy will be coming to Raleigh. Who knows? We did get South Carolina in Raleigh last year. I did want to look up that before we go. Gosh, this is how we end up going so long. We have random thoughts on our way out.
While you're looking at that, I'll tell you another random thought. You're talking about the games last night, Wes. I didn't get to watch I didn't watch any of the Louisville, Kentucky game, but I saw this morning. Missouri beat Southern Illinois last night, 11-8. Okay.
Oh, I know what stat you're coming with.
Missouri had 8 errors in the game.
Yeah,
8 errors in one.
Won the game. Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
that's Little League.
Yeah.
So
my little league doesn't make that many errors. Not even close.
So as far what I was thinking about was the SEC standings, which is the other power conference in college baseball.
Oh my goodness!
But Missouri's 0-12. That Missouri team is. But the other 3 teams with Missouri in the bottom 4 are preseason number 1 Texas A&M at 3-9.
That's after a series win at Knoxville.
That's right. South Carolina, who just hired they hired Paul Maneri in the all season. They're 2-10, and the Florida Gators, coming off a College World Series appearance, which they only got in by the skin of their teeth last year.
Yeah,
are 1-11.
That is insane.
I mean, it is that league is.
Did they beat Florida State last night?
They were up 5-4 late. Did they hold on?
They won. Florida won.
Yeah.
So Florida's RPI is 33, and they're 1-11 in the SEC.
Well, last year they were 500, and their RPI was number 1, right? I remember strength.
The strength of schedule is number 1. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
insane. Anyway, we'll keep following that because we're at the time of year now.
College baseball's awesome.
Where we get to talk about it. So yeah, college baseball's awesome. All right, we will talk to y'all next week. Let's go Pack.